Welcome to the Storytime Adventures for Adults video series. Today we will be reading Part 2, pages 90 to 95 from Songs from the Depths by Meg Swanson. The Mundane. Mind over matter is no matter for me. When I reach inside, there is fight or flight. No magic. Only searing pain buried through the years. Repression is your superpower. Marissa. Ugh, I groaned. I was not made for outside living. Even after using the supplies we brought with us, my mouth felt gritty, and my hair was a knotted mass that a messy bun only partially fixed. I side-eyed Ryan, who was still sleeping soundly, and I looked around for Aggie. I saw her at the other side of the clearing, and she smiled brightly at me. I resisted a snarl. Morning people are all a special brand of evil. Good morning. Yeah, I grumbled as I pushed myself to my feet. I stretched, and to my chagrin, everything inside of me popped like bubble wrap. A little stiff? You could say that. I focused my gaze on Aggie and narrowed my eyes. Why do you look so perfect? She chuckled, a deep sound that was so smooth my feathers immediately unruffled. Practice. When you lived like a nomad for as long as I have, you learn a few things. I found myself grinning at her. Well, I think it's safe to say that the nomadic lifestyle is not for me. I sat down by my pack and started to untangle my coiled mess of hair from the ouchless hair tie. When I finally managed to break my hair free from the constraints of the band, I grimaced at how much hair had come with the hairband. I sniffed the air, and my insides percolated. Is that the best part of waking up? You bet. Goddess! Aggie faltered suddenly, and coffee sloshed over the edge of her camp mug. Then the moment passed and she was fine. Not quite, just resourceful. After handing me the mug, she started to break camp, meticulously putting everything into her pack. What wasn't hers she divided into piles. I recognized some of my things I had left out, and Ryan's too, but there was a pile of things I didn't recognize. Who are those? Aggie shrugged. I'm not sure, but they were here when we got here. We should probably divide these things and take them with us. Extra supplies. It seemed like a good plan, but I worried that whoever's stuff this was would come back. At the same time, I could definitely use a new giant hoodie, I rationalized, as I picked up the well-worn gray sweatshirt. Ryan sat up abruptly and started whispering to Nova. I rolled my eyes. They were always doing that. I set my coffee down and continued to finger detangle my hair. Ryan came over and sat next to me. Hey, he said. Finally awake, I see. Ryan leaned hard against my arm, and I felt my frustration drain away at his easy ability to sleep on the hard ground. Riz, we have to get out of here. Let's go home. Finally! That is the first sane thing you've said since this whole crazy trip began. Yeah, I know. Sorry. But how are we going to get away from Aggie? Dude! My voice was louder than necessary. I dropped it to a whisper. She saved our asses. Yes, technically, but Nova abandoned us yesterday to wander the woods, alone. No, they stayed behind to... I could see him struggling to remember what he was going to say. I leaned closer for some of his natural comfort. Listen, it's okay. I know you two have been BFFs or whatever for a really long time. But even you have to admit that they came back from that weird walkabout different. Ryan hung his head. I know, but it doesn't change the fact that they're right. It's time to go, and we need to lose Aggie. She doesn't have any color. I looked incredulously at Ryan. Any color? He looked at me intensely. Yeah, color. You know, your color is red. Nova's used to be a pearlescent white. Mine is yellow and... And what? I prompted. Ryan shrugged. I don't know. I just feel like something is not right. I nodded even though I had zero idea what he was talking about. We fell silent and I watched Aggie finish packing. I looked around and marveled. The whole campsite looked as though we had never been there. Nova dropped down beside me. Okay, time to go. Riz won't come with us. What does that mean? Nova demanded, sounding more freaked out than angry. I leveled a look at Nova. It means that you left Rye and me to find our own way back. Alone. After Aggie finished packing her stuff, she followed Ryan's ribbons, which she gave to us to help us not to get more lost by the way. And then she got us closer to civilization than Ryan has managed to since we set foot on this godforsaken trail. While you stayed behind for what? To sulk? Sulk? I stayed behind to take care of John. Nova cried out and began to sob. Ryan's head of mine snapped up. Who? John. Our friend. The person who suggested this dune trip in the first place. His tattoos kept getting infected. You guys were supposed to get help. Aggie stayed with John and I. Kept your distance? Ryan asked shortly. Something like that, Nova said disdainfully. Anyway, I went to make sure you had marked your trail, but when I got back, John was asleep, and Aggie was hunched over him singing. I shook my head. Singing? To a friend only Nova remembers? You want to take their word? You're cracked. I'm getting out of here. With Aggie's help, not yours. You two do whatever you want. I stood up, hauled my pack into my shoulders, and walked over to Aggie. Forget those two, I thought to myself. I wanted to stay home and study. I never wanted to come on this dumb trip. Aggie looked over her shoulder at Ryan. Where's he going? To hell, I hope, and he better take Nova with him. Aggie smiled thinly. Ah, Nova. Well, we can keep heading for the ranger station so you can charge your phone, and then they can get you out of here. Thank you, yes. This was part 2, pages 90 to 95 from Songs from the Desk by Meg Swanson. We will continue with part 2 next week. If you can't wait until then to hear how the story goes, feel free to purchase the book at www.megswanson.me. If you would like to contribute to these series, please feel free to become a patron on Patreon. Details for joining are on my website, www.reneeannhughes.com. And also please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you won't miss any new videos. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.